To yet another engaging session of our scientific forum, Immunization Conclave. At Human Biological Institute, we take immense pride in driving several public health initiatives through our one-of-its-kind platform, Immunize with Pride. Immunize with Pride is an awareness initiative dedicated to educating the public about vaccine-preventable diseases and the importance of timely vaccination. These sessions feature leading experts from across the country who share the valuable insights on key health topics aimed to raise awareness and promote awareness of society at large. Today, we are delighted to have Dr. Lovi, Dr. Pulak, Jain, or Professor Dr. Shrish Bhatnagar with us to share their expert perspective on growing up protected essential vaccines for adolescents. I shall be sharing more about today's speakers in a short while. For a moment, please allow me to share a brief introduction of Human Biological Institute. Human Biological Institute is a division of Indian Immunologicals Limited. IIL was established in 1982 by National Dairy Development Board as one of its units and later incorporated as company in 1999. HBI was founded in 1998 when the Government of India requested IIL to produce a modern tissue culture anti-rabies vaccine to phase out the unsafe nerve tissue vaccine. Our first manufacturing facility was set up in Ooty. The facility is one of its kind in India and rolled out the country's first virocell culture rabies vaccine in the year 2000. Today, we are the leader in ARV segment with a presence in and around 60 countries. HBI has launched several other vaccines and become a major player in the human vaccine segment. HBI is a key player of the pentavalent vaccine in the Government of India under its Universal Immunization Program. In yet another milestone, HBI introduced Havishore in 2024, India's first indigenous hepatitis A vaccine aimed at providing protection for both children and adults. With the vision of shaping global healthcare by spearheading the One Health initiative and the mission to innovate, produce, and market quality healthcare products and services to improve and extend lives. We are committed to proving affordable, high-quality products through continuous technical innovations to meet our customer needs. As a market leader, we have a significant step towards reducing plastic burden by 160 tons per annum through the introduction of eco-friendly packaging for our flagship brand, Avarag. A part of corporate social responsibility initiatives, we have adopted schools where IIL provides infrastructure support and basic facilities, including assistance with the midday meal program. In association with NDTB through the gift milk program, hundreds of school-going children benefit from daily milk nutrition. We also donated oxygen generation plant to Telangana Institute of Medical Science and Research Center during the COVID times. These are just a few highlights about IIL. For more information, please visit our website at www.indiaimmune.com. Immunize with Pride is one of its unique initiatives with the emphasis of vaccination not only protects individuals but also strengthens community immunity. Welcome to today's episode of Immunization Conclave. This session is dedicated to a highly significant topic, growing up protected essential vaccines for adolescents. Today we have with us, it's my privilege to introduce our panelists, Dr. Lovi, Likhi, Dr. Pulak, Jain, and Dr. Shrish Bhatnagar, leading pediatricians. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Lovi. Likhi, a highly respected pediatrician from Ludhiana, Punjab, with over 25 years of dedicated experience in child healthcare. Known for his compassionate care and clinical expertise, he has been trusted name in pediatric practice for decades. He completed his MBBS from Punjab University in 1995, followed by MD in pediatrics from JJM Medical College, Devangri in 2000. With a training at Child Health and Research Institute, Karnataka. He also completed senior residency at DMCH, further strengthening his clinical foundation. Dr. Likhi has spent the last 25 years in private practice and currently leads Likhi Hospital and Test Tube Baby Center, continuing his commitment to quality pediatric care. Welcome, Dr. Lovi Likhi. It's a truly privilege to have you with us today. We have our next panelist. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Pulak, Jain, distinguished pediatricians from Durg, Chhattisgarh, with over 12 years of dedicated experience in child healthcare. Known for his child clinical excellence and compassionate care, he has earned the trust of families through his commitment to pediatric well-being. A gold medalist in MBBS from Government Medical College, Bilaspur, Dr. Jain further pursued DCH and DNB in pediatrics, including advanced training at the prestigious Hinduja Hospital, Mumbai, building a strong academic and clinical foundation. He currently serves director of Yashoda Nandan Children's Hospital, where he continues to contribute significantly to quality pediatric care. Welcome, Dr. Pulak Jain. It's a privilege to have you with us today. We have our next panelist is Dr. Shrish Bhatnagar. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Shrish Bhatnagar, highly respected pediatrician and pediatric gastroenterology expert with distinguished contributions to child healthcare and research. He completed his MBBS and MD and is a FIAP, currently serving as a professor and head pediatrics in charge, pediatric gastroenterology division at IRAS Lucknow Medical College and Hospital. He is also associated with KIPS Pediatric Super Specialty Institute and Sparsh Care and Gastro. Dr. Bhatnagar has also had several prestigious leadership roles, leading secretary, ISP and president Lucknow Academy of Pediatrics and CIAP executive board member, along with the 45 national and international publications to his credit. Welcome, Dr. Shrish Bhatnagar. It's a truly privilege to have you with us today. Welcome, everyone.
Yeah, thank you for a nice introduction.
Sir, good afternoon.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon.
So, as we know, today's topic and this week is very important week, that is World Immunization Week. So, we are discussing about the vaccines and how is it prevented, the disease can be prevented. So, today's topic is like growing up protected, essential vaccines for adolescents. The vaccines are not only for pediatrics, for the infants, it is for all the categories of the child and adolescent and adulthood. So today's as we start with today's topic, my first question is to Dr. Lovi Likhi. So what is adolescent vaccination and why is it important even if a child received all the vaccines in early childhood?
Basically, adolescence is the second decade of life, precisely 10 to 19 years of age. So all the vaccines that you give during that adolescence period, they're called as adolescent vaccines. And adolescents, probably in India, there are around 231 million, people who come in that age group, and they comprise around 21% of the population. So there's quite a sizable chunk of population in that age. And the India houses maximum adolescents in the whole world, right? So why adolescent vaccines are given? So basically, adolescent vaccines is crucial to boost the waning immunity, which probably for a period of time after primary immunization, it tends to slow, go down. So by giving these vaccines, you bring up that immunity to the protective levels. And secondly, adolescents are susceptible to a lot of diseases, especially meningitis, which causes a lot of morbidity and mortality. And third, it helps prevent cancers, which are caused by HPV virus. Like, there are around
Yes.
7 cancers which the HPV virus causes during this age group. Like, so it helps prevent that. So this is the reason why, like, adolescent vaccines are.
Yes. Very well said, sir. So my next question is to Dr. Pulak Jain. What do experts mean by immunity gap in adolescence and how does it affect health outcomes?
Basically, immunity gap means a period where protection from earlier childhood vaccines may reduce over time. Some recommended vaccines or boosters may have missed. Okay, and during adolescence, what happens? The adolescents are more exposed to infections because of much school, travel, social.
Yes,
Growing
sir.
years.
So there was a technical glitch. Can you please say it again in a short way because it was a we couldn't hear it properly.
Basically, immunity gap means a period where protection from early childhood vaccines may reduce over time, and also sometimes some necessary boosters are missed. Okay, so we have to take this as an important matter, and to make ensure that all the adolescents should be getting all the appropriate vaccines plus timely boosters at the right time.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. So my next question is to Professor Dr. Shrish Bhatnagar. Which vaccines are commonly recommended during adolescence in India and what diseases do they prevent, sir?
Yeah. In India, the key adolescent vaccines include the human papillomavirus infection vaccine, which prevents the cervical cancer and other HPV-related diseases. Tdap booster, which protects against serious infections. Hepatitis B vaccine, hepatitis A vaccine, which can prevent acute liver infection. The typhoid fever conjugate vaccine, the chickenpox vaccine, because it has been now shown that the immunity which is acquired in the early part of life does wane. So, and the yearly influenza vaccine, which prevents against the seasonal flu. So, these vaccines both address the persistent childhood risk and new exposures, which can be which a person can be exposed in adolescence. So, these are the recommended vaccines as per the guidelines.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for mentioning the vaccines, like what should be taken. So my next questioning is to Dr. Likhi. Sir, why do some vaccines require booster doses during the teenage years?
So as the name suggests, booster means like, you are trying to boost up the immunity levels, like, which have fallen probably after primary vaccination. And, the antibody titers, like, which build up, like, after the vaccination. Over a period of time, it is seen like, the titers, they tend to fall. And by giving these boosters, you're trying to build up those antibody titers which have fallen to those protective levels. And secondly, there are a lot of these viruses, like, which mutate over a period of time, right? And by giving the updated, boosters, you help protect the new, the body from the new mutants as well. And then third, like, probably by giving these boosters, you increase the quality and the quantity of the antibodies which are formed. So thus, the body remains protected. And, there are a lot of diseases like tetanus, which need like periodic vaccination to keep the, protection status, good. So these are the various reasons as to why boosters are required. Like.
Yes, sir. Booster means like they need, they have to boost it. Very well said, sir. So my next question is to Dr. Pulak Jain. How does the changing lifestyle of adolescents, school, sports, and social interaction increases infection risk?
See, adolescents today are highly mobile and they are very much socially active. So, with their contacts in schools, hostels, sports activities, group eating habits, traveling across, and and they are in very close peer interactions. increases the exposure to infections, and they also share environment which facilitate infections. For an example, if we think of hepatitis A, it can rise through contaminated food and water exposure, while lot of respiratory infections through close contacts. So, what vaccination do? It acts as a protective shield, and which prevent them.
Yes, yes. Thank you for saying. Like nowadays, contaminated food. We cannot say people kids eat out a lot, so we don't know how is it contaminated. Thank you for answering that, sir. So my next question is to Dr. Shrish Bhatnagar. Are vaccines equally important to both boys and girls during adolescence?
Yes, absolutely. Vaccination is gender neutral in importance. We should not be putting vaccination into gender's perspective. Say, for example, an HPV vaccine, which protects girls from cervical cancer, it also protects boys from oropharyngeal and other cancers while reducing the transmission. So it is equally important for boys. As I discussed with other vaccines like hepatitis B, typhoid, influenza, chickenpox, these are all protect both the sex equally. So focusing on one gender will miss critical opportunity for community-wide protection. That is very important. So we should not focus on one gender. We should be focusing on all both the genders so that the community protection is rampant and adequate throughout.
Yes. So adding on this, I have one more question. Like, how do you educate a parent? So, like, usually when they say when the parent comes, when we say why HPV vaccine, they say it's only for girls. Then how we have to say them, sir, that it's equally important for the both.
So basically, in that time, first of all, we need to listen to them first. What are their questions? What are their queries? Why this has come into them? Because it is with girls. But at the same time, when you listen to them, their queries, their questions, then you ask to address the specific and try to give them the importance of giving it to the boys also, how it can be prevented. So one-to-one conversation is very important in counseling in such matters and making them accept that yes, it is equally important for boys as well as for both genders.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for answering this. So my next question is to Dr. Lovi, Likhi. How safe are adolescent vaccines and how are they tested before approvals?
So adolescent vaccines are highly safe and effective, with serious side effects being very minimal. So most of the vaccines have very mild side effects like pain the local side.
I guess there's a technical glitch from the Dr. Lavi Likhi. I'll proceed to the next question, sir. So what is to my next question is to Dr. Pulak. What are the myths or misconceptions of vaccines among Indian parents, and how can they be addressed?
There are many myths in Indian society, basically. So, what we normally face in our routine practice, some of the common myths, like people think that healthy children don't need vaccines. So it's not like that. And sometimes, because of the age of this Insta and Reels and all that, some parents think that vaccines can weaken the immunity of their child and can cause illness. And some parents think that vaccines are only for infants, not teenagers. And sometimes, because of not having enough knowledge, they think that vaccines are not for teenagers. So, what we can do to remove all these things, myths from the routine of our society is through by providing credible information through us like pediatricians and sending evidence-based awareness, school education programs, and to have open discussion with parents.
Yes, very well said, sir. The world of social media gives many misconceptions to the parents and as well as the community. So my next question is to Professor Dr. Shrish Bhatnagar. So what are the If a teenager has missed earlier vaccines, can they still catch up later? What is the process?
So basically, catch up is recommended. It has to be done and is possible and recommended by all international bodies as well as our national organization. So first, as a clinician, we should review all the past records, what vaccines, what doses, how much has been given, and what are being missed. So very important that we go to the past records as much as possible, as in detail as is possible, and we should use age appropriate catch up schedules. There is no need to restart series. Remember, this is very important fact. Every vaccination does not, if you have missed given one dose or two doses and you're not giving the third dose, it does not recommend that you go back and vaccinate the three doses again. So that has to be kept in mind while planning this age appropriate catch up vaccination. And certain vaccines which are of high community load, like hepatitis B vaccine, if they're missed, or HPV vaccine, MMR vaccine, or the Tdap vaccine, which have a higher load in the community, should be given a priority as compared to other vaccines, and that can be planned later on.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for answering this question, sir. Dr. Lovi, welcome back. I have two questions for you, sir. The last question was, how safe are adolescent vaccines, how they tested before approval, and how can parents know whether their child vaccination schedule is complete or if boosters are pending, sir? Yes. So your is mute. Sir, it's muted. Yes. No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. So my next question to Dr. Pulak Jain, sir. What should parents expect after vaccination? Are mild side effects normal? And when should a medical advice be sought?
See, mild side effects are very common, and it's basically a sign of that the body is building starting to build some protection. So, what are mild side effects like mild pain or tenderness at the injection site, low grade fever, or temporary tiredness or body ache? Okay, sometimes, and which normally resolves in a day or two. Medical advice basically which are very less adverse events, which are like very high grade fever after 2-3 days, or severe allergic symptoms like breathing difficulty or loss of consciousness or anything unusual. So which are very rare nowadays. Okay, so mild side effects are common and nothing to worry.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for answering this question, sir. So my next question is to Dr. Shrish Bhatnagar. How do vaccines help protect not just the individual child, but also schools, families, and communities?
Yes, so this brings in the concept of herd immunity. What do we understand by herd immunity means that if you vaccinate 10 people and one person is unvaccinated who is residing among those 10 people, he will not get the infection because that infection will not be transmitted by the 10 people who are living around that person. So, because infections travel from one person to another. So, if all the persons are infected, the one person who is not immunized still will not be infected because others are protected. So this is the concept of herd immunity, very well taken care of. The concept taken care when we started the OPV vaccination, where OPV vaccination was the classical example of acquiring herd immunity and eradicating polio from the entire country. So the vaccines, all vaccines, so it is not a mystery that only OPV creates a herd immunity. All the vaccines create a herd immunity, reducing the spread among unvaccinated individuals. Adolescent vaccines specifically protect outbreaks in schools and hostels, very important. Protect younger siblings and elderly family members. If all the persons are vaccinated, the elderly will also be protected, and reduces the healthcare burden and school absenteeism or work absenteeism. So it is not just any vaccination is not just protection; it's a public health responsibility because of the herd immunity which is given by that vaccine.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for explaining about the herd immunity and its importance for the public health. So my next question is to Dr. Pulak Jain. So what roles can school play in promoting vaccination awareness and uptake among teenagers?
See, schools are very important for any child. So schools are very powerful partners in closing the immunity gap. Schools play a transformative role in the future of any child. So they can promote vaccine awareness through health education. They themselves can remind parents about adolescent boosters, and they can support many immunization initiatives. They can organize talks with pediatricians, and they can build a culture where prevention is valued. So schools are very important. You can't ignore the role of a school in a child future or everything related to child.
Yes, sir. Very well said, sir. Thank you for answering this, sir. Sir, Dr. Lovi, can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can very well hear you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you for joining us again. Sir, should I repeat the question, sir?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So my first question is, how safe are adolescent vaccines? How are they tested before
We'll just keep
approvals?
it brief. Yeah, they're very safe,
Yes,
very reliable,
yes,
and probably the side effects are very minimal. Serious
yes,
effect, serious side effects are absolutely rare. And as far as the second part of this first question goes, so yeah, the every vaccine before coming to the market, it has to undergo like preclinical laboratory trials, human phase trials, which are 3 or 4 in number, right? To begin with, like the scientists they test these vaccines in cell cultures and animals like rats and monkeys, and they see the immune status and like the safety. Once they are found to be safe, they jump onto the human trials. The first phase of the trial involves less number of people, like the human volunteers, roughly 20 to 100. And then the second phase is a bigger chunk, where counting into hundreds. And the third phase is where thousands of people are enrolled, and the vaccine is given to each of one of them, and then comparison is done, and the efficacy of the vaccine and the immune status, everything is looked into. All the data collected from this is given to the regulatory authority of that country, which is FDA, like in US, and for equivalent authority in India is CODHCO, right, with the DCGA as the head, right? And one these regulatory authorities, then they see all the data which has been collected, and then probably they out see like what the risks and the benefits, and if the benefits are more than the risks, the vaccine comes to the market. And once is in the market, still the surveillance is on, and the vaccines is given to the general population, and then they see the rare side effects, which if there are, then they are probably counted for. This is how actually after robust testing, the vaccine is probably finds place in our clinics. Then as for the second question, what was that? How
sir,
can the
how can
parents know
parents
whether?
know? Yes, sir.
So there are various methods, like the first method is probably like there are cards, MCP cards, like there's mother and child protection cards which are being issued at the time of birth, or when the child goes to the vaccination center, government vaccination centers. So probably all the vaccines are written down, and whenever they go, the doctor, the nurse updates that vaccination, and probably the parents come to know when they have to go next, like because the dates are being given. Then there are certain portals like UWIN portal, which is a government initiative, like they digitize the record like of all the vaccines, And then third, like the digital backup, which is like, you can ask the parents to take a picture of the vaccination, card every time they go to the vaccination center, and probably they can store it in the digital memory, and whenever like they can open up and see like then they have to go next. Then they can use the digital tools, all the educated lot, like, they can use digital tools. There are various apps like, like the UWin Citizen app, the Kids Health Vaccine.in, like, where the parents, they probably then go to these apps, they can update, the child's vaccination, and probably they're given reminders and notifications as to when they have to go next. And third is then the main and the final, that then they can avail our services. They can go to their respective pediatricians and ask them, like, when the baby requires the next vaccine. I hope I'm
Thank you.
done with the both
Yes.
questions. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. I just want to add one more thing. Like even Immunize with Pride as a website, what Gates Foundation does, we does the same. Like they can update their vaccine schedule and the reminders come like a pediatrician vaccination chart. So, my next question to you, Dr. Lovi, sir, are adolescent vaccine affordable and accessible in India, especially in smaller towns and rural areas?
See, there's some adolescents vaccines which are being provided free of cost by government of India, like under the UPI immunization scheme. They're given in all government-run centers and government hospitals. While most of them, like they are being provided by the private practitioners, and they are expensive and out of reach of many of the families. Like, as far as the vaccination in rural areas, well, it's still plagued by a lot of factors, like the accessibility to these health centers, like because of the poor infrastructure and lack of transportation facilities. And there's still a lot of misinformation and lack of awareness among the rural folk. There's a lot of misconceptions regarding vaccination still till today, as far as vaccination their kids are concerned. And because of low socioeconomic status, the basic needs are having food on the table and probably a roof on the head, still, like probably that keeps these kids away from vaccination centers. And still, like the rural centers are plagued by vaccination storage and vaccination supply chain problems, like
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you for answering, sir. So my next question is to the Professor Dr. Shrish Bhatnagar. Sir, how can healthcare providers communicate better with hesitant parents and adolescents about vaccines? Very important question, sir.
So basically, the healthcare providers need to be effective communication experts also. The effective communication means what we need to is their apprehensions, and then we need to communicate. So listening first is very important, understanding the concerns about the judgment. Why? Because vaccination still is a very big thing which is related to children, smaller children. Adolescent vaccine concept is still naive among our population, what we see in our practice. So we have to communicate them and use simple, effective, evidence-based explanation that yes, this vaccine is important because this will help this way. Like HPV is helping in this way; it has reduced. Even now, the government has it. So give simple examples which these people understand. Like hepatitis A vaccine. Yes, this is jaundice, which is most common in adolescents, 9 to 15 years. Give them the vaccination and address the myths, because every vaccination comes with one vaccination. There are 10 myths at least. So that myths have to be addressed. This vaccination will decrease the immunity of the child. It will hamper all the growth of the child, or it will adolescent. It might delay the puberty. So there are lots of myths which are there with each and associated vaccine. So that have to be shelved out, given a proper explanation. And also, the most important thing is to make them understand the disease risk versus safe vaccine efficacy. That if I don't give the vaccine, what is the chances of the disease getting, the child getting, the adolescent getting the disease, and how risky can it be? I always quote about chickenpox vaccine that if you do not give a chickenpox vaccine and the child gets chickenpox during the board exams, how detrimental can be? The child can lose an entire year. He will not be able to give the board exam. No school will allow him to sit for the chickenpox in the board exam, or he might have to give separately in the school in confined space, which will be very stressful for the child. He's already stressed because of the board exam, and suddenly he is not able to give that board exam, his friends separately, very detrimental. So give them these subtle examples. They will understand, yes, this is very important, that yes, we need to give this vaccines. And always talk to the adolescent directly. Our children now are really grown up. They understand. So talk to the adolescent, talk to them that why I'm asking this vaccine to be given to you. This will help you in this way. They may come out with certain unique queries. They will, because adolescent brain is different, they will come out with certain unique queries which we need to address. Parents might not ask you, parent might ask you one or two questions, but adolescents do ask you a lot of questions. So answer those questions also. Make the adolescent the center point of vaccination consultation or the communication, and then these they build the build of acceptance is there, the trust is built up quite there, and finally the acceptance comes up.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for really giving a very good answer. Sir, my common question to all of three, we have done with the panelist questions. My common question is like, what is your take message on helping adolescents grow up protecting against hepatitis A and hepatitis B, sir? So, Dr. Pulak Jain, please, from yours.
See, adolescent age is not the end of vaccination. It is the next chapter of protection. And parents till adolescent age should have annual visits with pediatricians, and they should be open with pediatrician for discussion, and they should get their child vaccinated, whatever vaccines pediatricians are advising their kids.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Sir, from Dr. Lovi, Likhi, sir.
So I agree with what Dr. Pulak said, and I'll add on. So you got to be, apart from vaccinating, you got to be educating on safe behavior, right? Good hygiene practices, and probably, educating these adolescents to keep away, especially a place like Punjab. We have this, drug menace. So you got to be keeping this, you got to be educating these adolescents to keep away from drugs. That's very important.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Dr. Shrish Bhatnagar, sir.
So I usually about one thing, because being a pediatric gastroenterologist, I'm much more involved in hepatitis A and B, the management part. So what I see is a lot of children coming with severe fundamental hepatitis and liver failure. So this is something very distorting for me, that hepatitis A causes a child to die. So giving a hepatitis vaccine, educating that yes, you can prevent it. And on the other thing about hepatitis B vaccine, which people don't focus on, you always remember HPV as one cancer preventable vaccine. But remember, hepatitis B vaccine is also a cancer preventable vaccine. Hepatitis B can cause, in long duration, hepatocellular carcinoma. So if you give a vaccine of hepatitis B, you are preventing a child from getting hepatitis B vaccine infection, and also preventing certain complications like hepatocellular carcinoma. So it's a cancer preventable vaccine. So these 2 points have to be highlighted. Hepatitis A can cause lethal infection, child can die, and hepatitis B is a cancer preventable vaccine, should be given and should be advocated.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for saying importance of hepatitis A and B vaccination. I want to thank you each and everyone for coming today and giving, sharing knowledge to our viewers and parents, children, everyone who is watching this. So thank you all for being part of Immunize Conclave. We hope today's session was informative and valuable in spreading awareness on growing up protected essential vaccines and for adolescents. A special thanks to Dr. Lovi Likhi, Dr. Pulak Jain, and Dr. Shrish Bhatnagar for sharing their time, expertise, and insights with us today. For those who want to visit the program, the video will be available on our social media platforms. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
So please follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Do share, like, and spread the word to as many, including your friends, families, and creators. Until we meet our next live talk, stay healthy, stay aware, and please take good care of yourself. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thanks.